Greetings and salutations, everyone. Welcome back to the Inn of Planar Crossroads, and as always, welcome back to our Around the Hearth discussions. This time, Silky Soft Sorcery is on the table for discussion. Don't go click it. Don't go Googling that. I'm sure that would not turn out well for you. But,
You might find Adam's sexy wizard in there. So.
The sexy wizard who talks like this all the time. I seriously do want to play him at some point.
You must make this happen.
Well, I believe what we said is that he had to play alongside JP as he played Riker. But
yes.
Alright. That's outside the point. We are not talking about that right now. We are talking about sorcery, Silky Soft Sorcery, soft magic systems in your games and stories. So, that's the plan this time. Before we get into that, let's do introductions and announcements. I will go first so the others can think about what they want to say. I'm Adam L. Spain with the Inn of Planar Crossroads. You can check us out on theiopc.com or innofplanarcrossroads.com. Either one of those URLs work, and they get you to our web landing page. Kind of bare bones right now, but it is just meant to get you to where you need to go. So it's got our social medias, it's got our support options, and it has our 3 upload places, which are BitChute, Rumble, and YouTube. We are most likely going to be, with the way I have it right now, we are most likely in March going to switch over to doing any kind of live streaming we do over on Rumble, because numbers just seem to be kind of better over there for some reason in the live stuff. I'm not really sure. I guess just it's the saturation on YouTube maybe that does that. But don't know. So we'll kind of shift over there with the live art streams, but we will still be uploading both places as far as the edited things like this. So the Around the Hearths are the bread and butter of the channel. That's the main thing I have. Do check out the Gentle Voice TV on YouTube and Rumble if you want to keep up with some ministry channel where I'm running. That's all I got. Now, I had Dan go next last time, but I'm having Skrat go next this time.
Well, no. Well, I'm Skrat from A Squirrel Plays over on YouTube, and I make videos talking about some mechanics of storytelling, such as creating characters and world building, but I also talk about the mechanics of TTRPGs, both in the storytelling sense and actual gameplay mechanics, as I explore and discover new, to me, TTRPGs, and hopefully help others find some new ideas and inspiration, as well as kind of give them room to show what they're working on too. So, been a lot of fun so far.
alright.
Yes, that's me.
That is you.
Dan from Avenue Studios. Find us on YouTube, Rumble, and anywhere you listen to podcasts. And we also have our website now, avenuestudios.media. All our links are there. You can check it out. Most of our main shows are on there. We will have a bunch of new shows coming out in March. Starting then, some pure entertainment, but still in the RPG flavor, so hopefully you'll enjoy that. And we do have our West March Kingmaker campaign running in our Discord, so it's for supporters only, but it's Discord-wide. Head GM is Jacob, and he's running everybody in story mode and play-by-post through the Kingmaker campaign. And it hasn't started yet, but the setup has been awesome, so hopefully everyone's enjoying it by the time this comes out. And yeah, join us, and I'd love to see you in the forest.
Alright. Okay. I think that means all of our announcements and introductions are done. So we need to do our shout out, which is Levi's shout out for posterity at the moment. This was a suggestion by Skrat. It is Old Grognard Says. So, you can check him out. He's currently at 1,170 subscribers. So, let's shoot him over to 2,000. How about that?
Yeah, hang on. Don't let him get ahead of me now.
Yeah.
You gotta stay below my...
Okay, so we have to get him ahead of Skrat before there's your mission. Oh, no. Now Skrat's got to step it up. Oh, no. Harsh. Oh, Skrat thought he could get away with it with just being part of the stream. I see how it is. Alright. But this is old Grognard says, let's get him up to at least 12. That'll get him even with us. We can get him to 2,000 if you want, to mess with Skrat. I won't fuss at you. So, but check him out. Kind of stripped down with his thumbnails, but he does have the visuals in there for those that are visual people when you are watching the videos, actually. So there you go. And that's our shout out. Oops. That's our shout out done. So we have our announcements. We have our shout out. That means it's time to set the timer and pull up a chair. Join us around the hearth with your preferred beverage as we discuss Silky Soft Sorcery. Skål.
Skål.
Okay. Let's do what we usually do and get our recommendation, our key points and considerations done. So, for Silky Soft Sorcery, this is great, kind of like we mentioned last time, so if you're wanting a more hard magic system discussion, go back to that one. But this time, we have the squirrel with... What's that swirly nut?
I don't know, man. It just everything you can think of.
It's silky smooth.
See, it's soft magic. You don't have to explain what it is.
I'm not sure that's what the soft magic from this stuff means, but we'll get to that in a second.
Whatever you want it to be.
You look so happy about it now.
All right. So Silky Soft Magic, key points and considerations. It's great for narrative games. Really works well for narrative games. If you have somebody who's particularly a creative individual, they usually really enjoy the magic that they can play around with. If they're not one of those weird creatives who also likes to know why things work inside of a system, not just that they
Those
do.
people are meth.
Yeah, those people don't exist. Get out of my, what are you doing? Look at my stuff. But some examples of soft magic systems, and this is a point that it doesn't have to be in just fun, flippant games. Soft magic systems can be in place in serious stuff as well. Case in point, Lord of the Rings. It is a soft magic system, and it's soft not just to us, the viewer, but to the people in the world that, especially that don't know any magic. It is a soft thing. Like, you don't know what this wizard can do. If he says he can turn you into a toad, he might actually be able to do that. You don't know if he can actually do that. So there's an unexpected thing there. So Lord of the Rings, especially when you look at the way Tolkien described how some of the magic worked and how it manifested, that moment in Edoras where Gandalf throws off his robe and you see that he's Gandalf the White. Outside, before they came in, it seemed like a storm was brewing and clouds were coming over. And then the way it describes it describes how the cloud moved away and light streamed in and it reflected off of Gandalf, or was Gandalf actually bright? It's not clear. See, so you have this ambiguous nature to the magic within the Lord of the Rings, which is very fun to think about when you're actually thinking about the things within your system. So, Lord of the Rings, and here's the one I might get in trouble for from some people. Harry Potter is soft magic. That's what I say. Now, I've seen it listed on hard magic, but here's my case in point. The magic started hard. It started with wand movements and Wingardium Leviosa, type of discussions. It definitely didn't end that way. There was a bunch of soft magic that really came into play in that story. So it is definitely a soft magic system and a soft magic setting. And in our general discussion, we can go a bit more into that. But that's one example. You see this a lot. Oh, I should have brought up last time. So here's last time's comment. For those that loyal watchers, go back to that one and comment Beetlejuice.
Oh.
The Beetlejuice and the Handbook of the Dead is a hard magic. So
fascinating.
There you go. So
well done.
Go back and comment Beetlejuice 3 times if you dare. So that's what you can look at for that. But for another soft magic system, this is going to be a lot of the magic that you see in stories. The fairy tale stories, they have a little bit of a mix of soft and hard magic, but there are things that you can look at in them that usually lean soft over hard. Good systems. I'm going to be perhaps pseudo-controversial, probably not quite, because I'll explain it. D&D and Pathfinder also work for soft magic systems. Because, here's the trick. They're kind of middling on their magic systems. Both of them are. If you want to play a wizard, have fun with your hard magic. If you want to play a sorcerer, have fun with your soft magic. And, back and forth. So anytime you study magic and have to pick out a bunch of stuff and then figure that out and blah, 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 that's going to be a harder magic system. But if you want to just be a blaster caster, you're not really playing a hard magic. Even if you're playing a wizard blaster caster, if you're not having to think about what spells you're picking, it may as well be a soft magic system for you. You're just blowing stuff up. It's alright. Force explosion. If you want to get fancy, you can do that in Pathfinder. But Open Legend is a soft magic system. Is a soft system. It can get hard. It can get more crunchy if you want it to, but its baseline is a soft narrative style system. But it does have just enough crunch to be my preferred system right now. And then there's Sagas with Dennis, who's been on here before. It's system and genre agnostic, so you can check it out. There's Easy D6 and Index Card RPG. Both of those have been something that Skrat has played, so I figured I'd throw them in there too. So, all right, gentlemen, that's what I've got for our key points and considerations. Take it away. This time, it has to be Skrat to take it away.
Oh.
We both know that you had more notes on this one than you did on the last one.
I'm going to pull the chart back up. Let's see.
Probably good. You guys are more organized than me anyway. So.
The graph. That third graph on that picture, that's why I prefer the soft magic in games. That's the whole sense of wonder. To me, it's more fun to discover that. The limitations. What can it do? What can it do? And whereas, even when I was little, I will definitely, just clarify, consider the Force in Star Wars a soft magic system. When I was little, that annoyed the heck out of me. I didn't understand it. It's like, why didn't they do this? They did it in this other scene. Why didn't they, then you get older and realize, okay, that was just really bad writing. That's all that was. But, I like it in video games and tabletops because it's, like I said, there's more to discover. You're the character in that situation and you're getting to see these things develop and come to light. I think it's more fun, but I can, like I mentioned in the previous episode, I could see how some people would rather, have it all written in stone, more cozy. But I will say, it is nice as a GM just to be able to hand wave something, say, yeah, it's magic, don't worry about it. Like, that platform just floats up all on its own, don't worry about it, but you can abuse that. It can very easily be abused. I mean, if you're consistent, it's not so bad. But which does raise the question, if I thought about asking this in the last one, but we'll ask it here. If you, the creator, make a hard magic system, like you know how everything works, you got all the details, but you only give a few details to either your player or reader or whatever the case may be, does that make it a soft magic system? They experience it as soft, but you designed it as hard.
I think that's the best way to describe that. The system itself. So here's how I would answer that question. If you were to write it out to explain it to someone else, would it be hard or would it be soft? And that's going to describe whether it is a hard or soft system. So this goes into that player perspective, that we were talking about in the last one, where, and I think I might be trying. I think the way I do my spell thing in my system might hack Squirrel's brain there for a second, because it will allow a creativity that hasn't been that I haven't seen in a lot of other hard systems. So maybe I can kind of sway him on at least one hard magic system. But more directly to the question, I would say if you design the system in a hard magic system way, it is a hard magic system. Just because other people don't perceive it that way doesn't change the fact that that if they do this thing, it's not going to work because of X, Y, and Z. So the system is on the GM, whereas the perception is on the players. So it would have a lot to do with perspective, and how separate that perspective is, too. How much do you reveal to your players? Especially if you're playing in a low magic type of thing. I guess this kind of leads back to what we were talking about with the Lord of the Rings. It's not so much that the Lord of the Rings necessarily has no magical rules. It's just more that we as the reader and those characters that were not magical didn't understand what the rules were. They don't understand how magic works. And so that makes it mysterious to them. But as you learn more about something, the less mysterious it becomes, is usually what happens. Not necessarily always. So I would think that would kind of fall into an answer. It's kind of a fuzzy, roundabout answer, but hopefully it answers some of what Skrat's saying.
Yeah, it would be I could see that very much working well in a storytelling film, book, whatever. I'm curious how that would work for a TTRPG, because you do get tricky in that you are playing a game, so there is at some level you do, like we were talking about in the last chat, there is this level where you do need to have rules for the game. And where that balance is. So if the GM knows exactly, it would be interesting. It would be an interesting experiment. Comment below if you've ever tried something like that, where you have it set up hard and the players have to discover that. I guess that would probably have to be in part of the game, discovering that. Like, I think the players would have to come into it knowing there's things you can learn about magic and wanting to do that, which could be really cool. It's interesting thought.
Well, I like the idea of it. I like the idea of the... See, if I know that the GM knows what is being talked about, that there's a reason, that the GM has a reason why this magic won't work here, or something's up with the way this magic is happening, and it's not just some magic ex machina again, then I do think I'd like to discover that. But then I'm playing a metagame then. I'm playing a metagame to discover how it happens, which isn't bad, okay? You players, you new GMs, it's okay for your players to play meta games. One of the fun things, like with Bomb Squad, one of the fun things with Bomb Squad is the metagame of me trying to figure out the cosmology of the Bomb Squad universe, which doesn't always work out right. I'm not always right. I was somewhat vindicated, but I'm probably closer than Dan was expecting me to get just by the drops that are in there. But, you know, we'll see. We'll see. But discovering that is fun. You're already playing an extra metagame. You're already experiencing the creativity together is part of the fun of this game, which is why Open Legend, even though it is a soft system, is my preferred system, even though I'm developing a hard magic system. So,
well, I would say that's one of the big pros to the soft magic system. Just like Skrat was saying, he enjoys creating that stuff. For an RPG, you are already sitting down to tell a story together, and that now becomes the magic, becomes a part of it. So on the positive side, like for my campaign Bomb Squad, the world is developed based on how the players are interpreting their abilities. And it's gotten crazy. We'll talk about that probably in the fourth chat, but it does develop the world, and you can offload some world building to the whole table, which also can get the players more invested in the story as a whole and in their characters, exactly like Skrat was saying, because they are actually forging their character. They're actually making imprints on this world that you're playing in. So that's definitely a big pro to the soft system.
Mm-hmm.
I think the big thing would be, as long as you have your mechanics for the game, even if they're basic, like Easy D6, Open Legend, there's still something strict. You do need, because we're playing a game, there does have to be a hard aspect to it, if you will, as long as the game mechanics are good and allow for that creativity, which most can. And I would say, too, just to echo kind of your point, Adam, with D&D and Pathfinder, it's really easy to make those soft, even the hard stuff. Like we talked about, there's negative aspects to that. But reflavoring things doesn't have to break the system. If you're being careful about it and just you want to reflavor a spell, okay, we'll follow the mechanics of it. It does this much damage. You have to roll against this save. But we can reflavor it, make the spell look different. Which could be a good middle ground for someone like my wife, Kristen, likes to work off of something. Or like Skrat, I think you said your wife too. They like to have something to start with, but then they can interpret or modify or think outside the box.
Yeah, well, she'll have all the descriptions and the rules and mechanics, and then she will be able to come up easily with creative ways to use it and get out of situations, or make good use of it, like prestidigitation. You show that to some people, and they're like, "How in the world am I going to use this?" And then she just uses it all the time. She's like, "I want to do this, I want to do that, I want to do this." It's like, I'm going to trick this guy, and I'm going to swindle this person because I'm going to make this thing appear and whatever.
Yes.
Well, we know what type of player his wife is then.
Yeah.
I caught that last one. I'm going to swindle this guy.
Yeah. A little troublemaker. Well, it's funny. So we've done 2 campaigns. The first one, she was a monk.
A chipmunk, maybe.
No, she was a bugbear monk of all things.
I couldn't resist. Oh, no.
There it is. But she was a monk, and I broke everybody's spirits in that one so bad that the monk gave up the religion. So in the next campaign, all different characters, but this time she's an arcane trickster who just loves getting in trouble. He's a young buck, so.
All right.
Makes poor decisions.
That's how we learn, right?
All right, gentlemen. Well, based upon the sand timer, we're pretty close to final thoughts. Are we rolling again this time, gentlemen?
Absolutely.
All right.
Dice games.
So we will go clockwise from whomever the dice falls on. We will keep it as it was, I suppose. So I'm 1 to 2. Dan's 3. Well, no. Yeah, Dan's 3 to 4, and 5 to 6 for Skrat. So, 5 to 6 for Skrat.
Dang it. The one time I needed later. Alright, let's see. What do we got?
The
Final
one
thoughts.
time? Let's be
The
honest
one
with the
time.
viewers, Skrat. Let's be honest with the viewers here.
Let's not.
Yeah, we're in a flexible, soft system right now.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh, let's see. I already said I'm a fan as in games of a soft magic system, but from storytelling, I very much appreciate the hard ones because I think it's more interesting to see how the characters get out. But that said, I don't think I would ever expect a GM to get involved enough to create a hard magic system because that is a lot of work.
What?
Yeah, it is. It's a lot of work. I mean, depending. So we didn't talk about that in the last one. Depending, like on how solid your hard magic system is, right? So there's some degrees there you could get into. Like when I wrote my book, you don't see a lot of that mechanics, but man, there were so many hours making sure that was all solid and made sense and didn't open up plot holes and all that good stuff. So I guess you can bounce from there and say when you are in the soft magic system and you're using it to cover your rear end because you forgot something, it's like, oh, yeah, magic. It's fine. Don't worry about it. Make a note or you'll forget like I do.
Well, just don't. Just don't do like Marvel, with the Infinity Stones. Those things are way too powerful to just be bouncing around.
You could have just stopped it. Don't be like Marvel and just left it.
Fair. To be fair to Marvel, some of their heroes and writings in the older stuff was good.
True. Yeah.
Everybody's got to one-up each other. We'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's about it. Don't try to make it where your players have to remind you what you said 5 minutes ago or in the last session. It may have happened once or twice.
Maelstrom effects.
All right. Let me see. I said we were going clockwise, which means it's me.
Ding ding.
So at least on my screen. For me, and you guys can give me feedback on this because I'm not quite sure, and we have time for feedback. I feel like you actually have to say no more in a soft system than you do in a hard system. Because that's something I've experienced running Open Legend. Open Legend is very open, and you can get very interesting and different kinds of effects. You have a large variety of what you can do. And because the GM has to be the arbiter of possibility, they have to make that ruling and then be consistent with that ruling. So in certain ways, I feel like a soft system of magic can open you up to having to say no more often to what this magic can do. Not that it does all the time, which is why I'm kind of wanting a little bit of feedback on this one from personal experiences from y'all running different systems, maybe. Because I had to say no when running Pathfinder, but because Pathfinder they have defined spells, and this spell does this thing for this many feet, and it does, all that type of stuff. Mm-hmm. You have defined parameters already. You, the GM, don't have to think about those soft magic effects. And you don't have to say no as often. Not that saying no is bad. I don't really care if I have to say no or not. But what do you guys think about that? Or have you experienced that you have to say no more or less, or just kind of about the same when you're running a soft versus hard magic?
I think for me, it's the no's probably about the same, but it's exactly what you're saying with it's the system saying no versus me, because just like you're saying, when it is a soft system, you're the arbitrator. So it's your decision whether or not it works, and there's not falling back on, well, no, we've looked at the rules, it says this, it's exactly this, so no, this does not apply in this situation. because you always have the players trying to stretch the limits of whatever they're in, So you do have to say no, but it's the system saying no, right? Instead of the world saying no, maybe, in a sense, so it does fall on you, which is a really good point, because some people might be uncomfortable with that. And I've struggled with it with Open Legends sometimes, because it's such a heroic system. I don't want to say no. We're just here playing an imaginary game, effectively. I have fun, to a degree. But if you completely lose all structure, then it does end up losing its fun, because there is that balance between having fun, being creative, but also staying within a rule set, because there is something fun, there's a challenge there in staying with the rule set, because like we've been saying, kind of, if it's Deus Ex Machina or Deus Ex Magica, whatever, then it's just, nothing matters, there's no stakes. I think it's kind of what you've been saying, Skrat, with the stories, and seeing these characters navigate through something, you can see the stakes clearly.
Yep. For me, man, I think the only hard magic system that I've played with in TTRPGs has been 5e, so that's definitely going to influence what I'm about to say here. Playing that hard magic system, there has been several times I have wanted to say no, but don't feel like I can, because it's written in stone. Well, written in the player's handbook, whatever you want to call it. Maybe not stone, but like, yeah, no, it says I can do this, but you're like, yeah, but that's stupid and really ruins the game for everyone. Please don't. And you feel like, I guess as a GM, I could have thought of something else to make this, not viable. But, and we used to have a player that was real bad about that, and he's since left. And now, we have a pretty good group. Sometimes, they'll think of something really crazy, and they'll just ask, like, hey, can I do this? And I'll be like, well, yeah, you thought of it. You should be able to do it. But, they do at least ask. Whereas, in things like Easy D6 or Mouse Ritter, which really doesn't have magic too much, but it is open-ended in the sense, you just whatever you come up with. This game, Electrum Archive, I think it was, we played a while back. Somebody else ran Adventures. These other games, anyway, they're all those light ones or soft magic. Whenever we're playing and they come up, they're like, oh, can I do this, and this? And I'm like, dang, that's cool. Give it a try. Let's see what happens. It's more, it's more exciting to see, because there's nothing written, and then they come up with something. And it's like, yeah, I don't see why that couldn't work, and I don't think I've ever said no in that case, but I know I have said, well, let's dial it down a little bit and try this. And they're like, okay, that's cool, just, I wouldn't even call it haggling, just like, hey, I have this idea, is that too much? It's like, no, I like it, but let's, make it a little more reasonable. So find myself saying no more often, but that might just be because it's 5e. I don't know.
It's more, no, I don't want to.
Yeah.
I don't wanna.
No, he stinks.
Oh, man. Well, that just gave me a bunch of different thoughts. I'm trying to
Well, you gotta pick one.
pick one.
Only one.
Yeah, I think it's the... I want to go back to the navigating, because what you're kind of hitting on, Skrat, and what you and I said were kind of two sides of the same coin almost, because it's the pros and cons of having a hard set-in-stone magic versus having this open magic. And there's negative sides. So making sure at your table, I think, for a soft magic system, knowing when you're going into it, again, also assuming a more open or light system, that it's going to be a lot more of exactly what Skrat was describing. I want to do this, I'm thinking this, and then the GM coming back. And again, it's not exactly... I mean, depending on your playstyle, some people might like to kind of debate or hold British law style. But however you do it, there will be this back and forth. And as long as everyone's coming into it understanding that, and I think I'll just tag on to that, because it's something specific for light systems like Open Legend, which I love that they talk about in the rules, is the self-limitation. think about your character, you're building it from a player perspective, because this will help the GM kind of have some limits. Again, we're not doing hard systems, so they're not necessarily set in stone, but think about the limits you have. Maybe your character doesn't have access to everything the system allows. You kind of are structuring it in your own way. So it makes the SAW system allows for this nice inter-created world and magic system. So, but making sure everyone's on the same page with it and understanding how we're going to navigate it. Because if you're doing it well and you're working together, it's awesome.
Yep. Well, to remark on that before we do our sign-off stuff, I would like to give a little bit of a caution to certain things, because I have seen this with my son, as well as me if I try it. There's a reason I've never played a pure alteration character in Open Legend. I would break the game. Because alteration breaks the game. Even the first few power levels of alteration massively change the way you play that game if you just read the descriptions.
Right.
On what the basic open descriptions are. And Addie has asked before about, well, can I change into this? And the limitation that I've had to give Kaisar is that he has to see it and study it before he can change into it. He has to be able to understand what's happening. Otherwise, he's just changing his outside, not his inside.
He's an animorph.
Right. So, but that's not actually in the rules.
Right.
So,
yep.
In the rules, you can just change into into a creature of this size compared to you. I know a lot of creatures that could be very bad to mess with inside that parameter, and that's not good for balancing the power of your game. Which I'm going to re-bring this up in the fourth chat, because in a soft system, creative players will break your game. So think about that before you just be aware. They can break your game faster than a min-maxer in a hard system. So if you cut Zachariah loose on Open Legend, he gets a soft system. It's just stuff's gonna happen.
Yeah.
So. All right.
Austin can do pretty well at talking his way into things too. Yeah.
Yeah, but he's talking you into it.
Right.
Like if he was running the rules, he already has all the feats. So it's like, there you go.
Yep,
all right.
Exactly right.
I think it's time. Timer's done. So final thoughts are done. We hope you have enjoyed, viewers. Do return if you would like to. And if you'd like to support the Interplanar Crossroads, you can check us out at theiopc.com or interplanarcrossroads.com, like I mentioned before. Oh, before we go any further, the comment this time is, creatives break the game.
I was going to say something like that.
So, creatives break the game is the comment this time.
Nice.
But you can check us out at theiopc.com, etc., etc. It's got the links to our socials, as well as the links to our different upload sites. So you can check those out if you want to. Also check out the Gentle Voice TV at Rumble or on YouTube. We'll be doing live streaming of art creation over on Rumble. That'll be art and apologetics, and it'll be kind of a behind-the-scenes thing I do along with the regular uploads that will allow people to see how I make things, and we can chat and talk about God stuff and things like that way over there. But that's that. And since I started, we'll go clockwise from me this time. Avenue, what you got?
Hey, well, Avenue Studios, you can check us out now on avenuestudios.media. Has links to all of our places, Patreon, locals, YouTube, Rumble, and podcasts. Join the forest if you want to join this crazy adventure we're on, making content out in the wild world of RPGs. And, check us out. Subscribe, like, comment, all that good stuff.
Okie dokie. What you got, Skrat?
Nothing. I don't want to talk to you.
Because he's a creative, and he broke the game.
I broke the game.
He's
I went and made my own game. Just YouTube. A Squirrel Plays. One word. That's all I got. There's a link for a Discord server in every video description, or should be at least. And over there, we like to share our ideas, what people are working on. Like, OKSDM, he came over there and was trying to get folks to sign up and try out his game he's been working really hard on, and other people's little homebrew stuff. And I try and poke them to share their characters and ideas and concepts, just whatever they're working on. Doesn't have to be TTRPG related. Mostly squirrel pictures. That's what we get. People been getting into the habit of feeding their squirrels, I've been finding out. So I guess that's good. I'm making a positive impact.
There you go.
A positive impact for the squirrel community, but the birds hate it.
Yeah. Wasn't exactly my intention, but I'm not going to complain. So.
Is there some secret war between squirrels and birds that's going to be in this squirrel RPG I'm hearing about? That would be interesting.
That's a good idea, but if you remember the Squirrel Death Squad video, they used birds. They were allies with them.
Oh, yeah.
The birds were dropping them.
Allyship changes,
That's true. Somebody said something about somebody's mama. That's all it takes.
Somebody went after the nuts. And that was it. There was an arrangement. What it was, there was a dispute over whether the sunflower seeds count as nuts or not.
Oh.
And the squirrels think they do, and the birds think they don't, and the squirrels like the sunflower seeds, but the birds are like, no, those are ours. And there was this dispute over resources, and all of a sudden, now the birds and the squirrels hate each other.
Well, there it is.
There you go.
Beautiful.
All right.
I have a darker thought. We'll save it for behind the scenes.
Okay, so if you want to hear that, gonna have to tune in and stick around for the outro. Have a great day. God bless. Goodbye.
Later.
This content was made possible by travelers and viewers like you. Thank you.
Okay. Got this one. Alright, you guys ready to bounce into Silky Soft Sorcery?
Yeah, man.
I like that one a lot.
I know, right? That was a good... I wasn't sure about rock hard hexes, because people can think things. But the Silky Soft Sorcery, the 3 S's all together, just being all good.
Yes, right.
Yeah.